Hey everybody, welcome back to Landshark's Garage. Today's episode, Miss Landshark and I are going to put this 350 and that turbo 350 transmission, we're going to do a heart transplant right here in this 80 Camaro. Our goal is to do this without having to buy parts. We took this 350 out of Mrs. Landshark 68 C10 because it had a little bit of a rocker arm problem. A lifter went south on it, so we fixed that. This is a turbo 350 that we've had for a while that we hope's in good shape. We've had other 350s that weren't in good shape, but we'll see what happens when we put it in. Got torque converter, got a little bit of an oil change. We did have to buy new motor mounts. Oh, we didn't really want to do that. We're going to try and do it with what's in our shed. Distributors in. I don't know if it's on top dead center. I can't remember when we did it. So we'll have to take a look and see. Did have to buy headers. All right, we're going to start the process of getting this motor ready to transplant back into the Camaro. Just got done putting oil in it. I always put a zinc additive in with all our hot rods. I use Lucas TB Zinc Plus. There's some other ones out there that are good too. I use it as a protective measure with my oil just because of these older motors are like a lot of zinc. So we got to put the fuel pump plate on, the rod that runs the fuel pump and the fuel pump thermostat, a lot of little things before we can stick it back in there that we took off when we pulled this motor out. So fuel pump rod runs up a hole right here. That runs off a eccentric on the camshaft to run the mechanical fuel pump. And put that in there. Sometimes putting the fuel pump on before you put the motor in can be a pain in the butt, but in this case I don't think it is gonna be, so I'm gonna go ahead and install it, and something I don't have to worry about later. I like to use a pick to hold that fuel pump push rod up. Some people use hacksaws. Some people use this bolt here, just replace it with a different one that will hold the push rod up. You got to hold it against the camshaft, and sometimes depending on where it's at on the camshaft, it can be a little harder than other places, but this one seems like it was down a long way, so should be okay. You can feel the tension of that rod against there, so I know that it's where it's supposed to be at. Most of these fuel pump bolts have a smaller head than the normal for that size, just so that you can get a wrench on it. These two bottom ones I know I didn't tighten up, and that your oil will pool in there, so you want to make sure them are tight so that the gasket seals. Everybody's in here today. Mr. Landshark's over here putting the last of the peel and seal in. We've been waiting for a panel to repair the floor. That came in, so we put that in quick and get that peel and seal in there. And next thing up will be getting our carpet and stuff. Headliner carpet, back deck panel, back seat. And we got to get some runners for our front seats. Rocking and rolling. We took the steering sector out because there's some issues with the key switch and the ignition switch on it, and I've never had one of them apart, so I took it out just to see how that's all going to work. All right, so fuel pump mounted. Hopefully isn't going to cause us any fits. Famous last words. Thermostat got 183, 180, yeah, 183 thermostat. It's 195 degrees, and we painted the housing so it matches. We're doing all the good stuff. These two bolts go through and through, so we'll put a little, make it not leaky on them. I like the liquid stuff. said that before because you can do both of them in one shot. Boy, I think I need a longer bolt than that. So as we talked about in the opening, we're trying to do this with all the junk we have amassed over the years. Not junk, but spare parts.
Treasures.
Treasures. They're treasures. Look at that. God. These ones are still not long enough until he realized that they aren't the right size. That's mounted, thermostat's in. We need a nipple on this water pump. Here, there's one, the 5/8 goes here, 3/4 goes here. Where that 3/4 hose goes in is way down here. So we're probably gonna put both the hoses on and flip them over. So when we put the fender wells in, we're not messing around with that. These pipe threads, you don't really want to over tighten it because it can crack because pipe thread is tapered. So got that around. This got pretty good marker on it. I always mark where number 1 should go. When I do distributors, should be able to just drop it in and walk her down in there. Number 1 always points towards number 1 on a small block Chevy. And tighten that down a little bit. I'm going to put an extension on this oil fitting so that this Camaro didn't come with an oil gauge. It's just got a idiot light, and I like to know what my oil pressure is, so I'm going to get it ready so that when time comes we can just put an oil pressure gauge in it and not have to rely on a light. Motor mounts mounted. Changed my mind on the fuel pump because it's just going to make it a pain in the butt to put the motor mount bolt in. I remember that from when we took it apart. Sometimes that affects it, sometimes it doesn't, so we'll just throw the fuel pump in afterwards. But hey, you got an idea on how to put it in. Shaft will stay in there, that's not a problem. So we're going to put the torque converter in the transmission now. I always like to put a little bit of lube around this before we put it in and get it seated. I use Dr. Tranny's assembly goo, Dr. Porkenheimer's boner juice. So the assembly lube is on there. Get a good look at that input shaft. I really don't know what kind of torque converter this is. It's one we had in the shed. A little smaller than normal, which would tell me it's maybe got a little bit of stall, but I'm not sure. All right, so it always seems like when you think you've got this in, it's got to go further. Okay, there's a slot that it slides into and slips back just a little bit more. I don't think I've got it back far enough yet, but keep driving here. There. So it goes back that extra little bit. This must be a circle track torque converter, honey. It's got a drain plug on it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We don't know. We just put stuff on using a straight edge. And if you measure back to that, it's about 1 inch that this slides back in there. I know that's back far enough now, but it kind of clunks, and then you got to get it to go one more step to get in there. So what we're gonna do, take the motor off the stand, hook it to the transmission, put it all in one piece, because that's how we took it out, and we're really hoping that's gonna slide right in there. If not, we'll take transmission back off of it. But when we took it out, we didn't have any issues with it hooked together, so we're gonna hook it back together. So we had to get new motor mounts. We're gonna mount them. Of course, I lost one of the bolts, and they're metric, and I don't have any of that. So we'll do the whole metric standard. Metric on that side, standard on this side. That's all right. you know, usually take these things off, and then we'll be ready to pop that in. Have I ever swallowed a nut? I was just gonna put this in my mouth, and I'm thinking,
Well, you'd be able to breathe through it, so it wouldn't kill you.
yeah, thanks. Thanks for encouraging me to do it. That's awesome. Jack.
You may have to go get it removed surgically, but you bitch poop it out.
Eventually, follow me around.
It's pretty
the yard.
rounded edges. It'll just poop out.
14 years later. Good. Look like where I want to be. Sure. Torque converter still turns. That's a good sign, right? Torque converter. If the torque converter turns.
What happened?
I have no idea. Remember I was talking about that ram breaking?
The whole front part clip is bent now.
I think we just gotta bend it up probably. Wow. Which I think we can go back so that the next time we let it down, it goes down. If it goes down, it goes
Yeah,
down.
that's as far back as it's gonna go. Just wait, you're gonna catch the harmonic.
Okay, we're gonna go just a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah, right?
That was worse than the Tahoe motor.
Yep, because you broke my front end. And whatever you need to fix on this thing, you should fix it.
Oh, you guys are following along. This has been hours. It'll be like 12 minutes on YouTube.